Low, 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 low. Gotta get that taken care of. Cool. Hello, happy Friday. We're back for another episode of the Tech Behind FinTech. I'm your host, Nnamdi Osuagwu. We'll be talking about the technology behind the money. I love that, the technology behind the money. Anyways, happy Friday. We have a lot of things to cover today that we will be going over. As always, thank you guys for joining and viewing. We are going live from our website, number one, techbehindfintech.com. LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and also we are on Instagram, but Instagram's not connected to our main platform, so you're not going to get the presentation and so forth. So if you're on Instagram watching this, go to the techbehindfintech.com and join us on one of the platforms mentioned: YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, they are in Facebook. There are links on the website as well as watching live from the website, the techbehindfintech.com. As always, extremely excited to be here and run through some stuff. Any questions, comments, put it in the chat, and we'll answer it. Have a discussion around it, or if you want to add anything to the discussion, feel free to comment. That's what we're all about: open discussions, diving deeper into this stuff. So, without further ado, let's start the news for the day. Okay. All right, first one, interesting one. So, all right, I thought it was a huge win because I started using it when you go to the store and you can just tap your credit card on the machine without having to swipe it. But now Mastercard unleashed a whole new feature, biometric scanning. So what does that mean? You could essentially go to a store and pay with your fingerprint or facial recognition. So the pilot program launched this Tuesday. They're live actually in Brazil, with I think they said five locations in Sao Paulo. So they plan to roll it out globally later this year. So how does it work? So essentially, when you sign up for Mastercard, you take a picture of your face or you scan your fingerprint to register it with the app. It's either done on your smartphone or at a payment terminal. You can then add a credit card, which gets linked to the biometric data. So, a big thing with that is, okay, now we have the biometric data, but what about privacy and security? How is my information being protected? So once the biometric data is in, it's encrypted, number one, and the user's face and fingerprint is replaced with a token, a random string of alphanumeric characters that are then linked to your payment card. So that's the security mechanism behind it. Folks at MasterCard are also saying that, this is going to be something that could be used in the metaverse in the future. So Mastercard's biometric tools could one day help with development of payment infrastructure for the metaverse, which is a hypothetical virtual world where users can work, trade, or socialize. It's really interesting stuff. Hold up, let me just make sure some background stuff is taken care of. I think it is. Love to get your thoughts on that. Go to comments, see if anybody's commenting in. But not totally. I found that really, really interesting, actually, where things are going. All right, what's the next one we want to cover? All right, so this one, we talked about this, touch base on this last week, actually. It's just more getting some more insight. So we talked about, stablecoin, which is usually pegged to a currency. In most cases, it's the dollar, and how Terra USD essentially went way below that and has fallen. So just going to dive deeper into the situation. The Terra USD or UST coin was backed by the Lunar Foundation Guard with about 3 billion in Bitcoin. As of Monday, the majority of those funds have been spent in a way to try to save the Terra USD. Unfortunately, that didn't really work. So Terra USD stablecoin is now worth about 8 cents as of this morning. Um, it's a really interesting use case and some lessons learned behind the whole thing. So let's go through some of it. So it's the Luna Foundation Guard was a fund set up by tech creator Du Quan, said Monday, it spent almost all of its Bitcoin in reserve last week in a futile attempt to save Terra USD, or UST for short. The foundation had accumulated a total of more than 80,000 Bitcoins, which was worth nearly $3 billion last week, as well as other tokens, including BNB, Tether, USDC, and Avalanche. Mr. Kwan had promised to use Bitcoin in the event of a dramatic fall in the value of UST. So that's what was done. So let's get into some other stuff with that. As of Monday, the Luna Foundation guards had just 313 Bitcoins left in its reserve, worth approximately 9.3 million. So they went from 300 billion to 9.3 million. The firm said it was used the remainder of its 85 million in crypto assets, including some BNB and Avalanche, to compensate remaining users of UST. So essentially, the UST users, they thought that that stable coin was like having actual dollars in the bank, right? Because that's the whole point of the stable coin. It's not supposed to fluctuate. So, you have other ones, like major ones like Tether. Last week we talked about that, went slightly below, but I think Tether is back up right now to its pegged value. So I think the biggest difference was UST. It's known as an algorithmic stablecoin, unlike Tether and USD, which hold fiat assets like real money assets in a reserve to back their tokens. UST relied on a complex set of code coupled with a floating token called Luna to balance supply and demand and stabilize the price. Luna is also dramatically down as well. It went from like $85 to like near zero. So, a lot of people lost at that. Some did it. So let's talk about that. This good article in the New York Times, actually. I'm going to post it after I'm done. So the downfall of Luna and TerraUSD offers a case study in crypto hype and who is left holding the bag when it all comes crashing down. Mr. Kwan's rise was enabled by respected financiers who were willing to back highly speculative financial products. Some of those investors sold their Luna and TerraUSD coins early, reaping substantial profits, while retail traders now grapple with devastating losses. Okay, one of my guys just joined on Instagram. Amir, what's up, man? He's traveling in Europe right now. So on one of those backers, Pantera Capital, a hedge fund that invested in Mr. Kwan's effort, made a profit of about 100 times its initial investment after selling roughly 80% of its holdings of Luna over the last year, said Paul Varentikit. Well, I totally butchered that name. An investor at the firm. Pantera turned 1.7 million into 170 million. The recent crash was unfortunate. A lot of retail investors have lost money. I'm sure a lot of institutional investors have also. Some people were skeptical from Terra from the start. From the beginning, crypto experts were skeptical that an algorithm would keep Mr. Kwan's twin cryptocurrencies stable. That's the Luna and the UST. In 2018, a white paper outlining the stablecoin proposal reached the desk of Cyrus Yanissis, an analyst for the crypto investment firm Scalar Capital. Mr. Yanissis said that note to his boss, explaining that the project could enter a death spiral in which a crash in Luna's price would bring the stablecoin down with it, which actually happened. So he basically called it. As Luna caught on, the naysayers grew louder. Charles Cascarilla, a founder of Paxos, a blockchain company that offers a competing stablecoin, cast doubt on Luna's underlying technology in an interview last year. So, they had different skeptics. I mean, look, in general, with these projects, you really have to, investors beware. You have to definitely do your homework. A lot of hype is built around it. Definitely in this case, fortunes or savings were wiped out by those who went hard. Usually, a lot of it sometimes impacts the retail investors mostly. The institutional guys seem to have got out, but some were obviously impacted as well. This UST crash basically brought a lot of the market down, but it's recovering. Bitcoin hit the lowest, I think, around 26,000. Hasn't been that low since December 20th, but now it's back at 30 as of this morning. So it was definitely market impact because of this crash. Ethereum also. So let's actually move on from that. That was like a follow-up from last week. I want to talk about it. So just happened here for my screen. Give me a second, guys. Let me something. I guess I'm on the screen. It just went. I think I did something. Let me. I'm just playing around. Give me a second. Trying to get the best. Okay, there we go. I like this view better. All right, cool. Ethereum devs tip the merge will occur in August if everything goes to plan. So what does that mean? So right now Ethereum's on a proof of work consensus. They want to move over to proof of stake, and basically that's targeted for August. So it was a lot of stuff coming out. So it's supposed to be earlier. So Preston Van Loon, a core developer at Ethereum Network, told attendees at the permissionless conference that the transition known as the merge would occur sometime in August if everything plays out according to plan. Echoing this sentiment was fellow Ethereum researcher Justin Drake, stated that ensuring the merge went ahead quickly was a top priority, sharing his strong desire to make this happen before the difficulty bomb. So the difficulty bomb refers to the program coded in the Ethereum blockchain that intentionally slows down the network. It was designed to encourage the transition to proof of stake by making it more difficult for miners to stay behind on the proof of work chain after the merge. So let's kind of get into that, right? That's kind of important to get into some background on it. I think we talk about that. Yeah, so right now, Ethereum, Bitcoin, the consensus model is proof of work. Takes up a tremendous amount of energy. Is based on coming up, figuring out a computational problem. That's what the miners try to solve. And proof of stake, you basically it's different. You're basically staking your own coin, and they have people they're called validators. Proof of stake considerably faster. Proof of work though, it's been proven, right? Over $1 trillion of transactions and so forth have been in terms of Bitcoin, Ethereum using this for over the last decade. So it's very interesting. Let's get into some facts about it. So proof of stake requires participants to put cryptocurrency as collateral for the opportunity to successfully approve transactions. Proof of work, and then so let's kind of get into that. So yeah, like I said, the whole thing, it was a good explanation. I really liked the way it was described. So just to like back up a bit, these are all decentralized applications. So when you're adding another block to the chain, who makes that decision? How do you know which one to add next? Like how do you know which one to add next and so forth? I was just looking at a comment. So you need some way to make that decision in a decentralized manner. That's where proof of stake and proof of work come in. They're both mechanisms through which a distributed network of participants can agree on which new block of transactions is added to the cryptocurrency's digital ledger, known as a blockchain. They differ how they reach this endpoint. Proof of stake revolves around a process known as staking. This is a bit like voting, although with most proof of stake cryptocurrencies, this process doesn't involve one person, one vote. Instead, participants known as validators stake a certain amount of crypto behind the block they want to add to the chain, with different blockchains setting different limits for this amount. And then let's go into some pros and cons, but let's just go into the definition of proof of work. In proof of work, the networks such as Bitcoin, all computers on the network are competing to be the first to solve the problem and prove their work. and they get to add the latest batch of transactions to the blockchain and earn some Bitcoin in exchange. So that's basically the big difference. And then what was cool from this outline, well, before we go into the last article, let's kind of go into this outline right here. 1 second. See how to make this thing bigger. Nope, don't want to do that. Playing around with the view right here. Yeah, well, maybe that's better. So, pros and cons, right? Some pros: operating costs make it highly secure. Proof of work pros: the network is more open and decentralized. Only consensus mechanisms to have been proven at scale. So that's some of the pros of proof of work. Meaning, like, it's been the de facto. You have new chains like Solano, Cardano using proof of stake, but I know Bitcoin, Ethereum, they're the biggest ones right now, number one and two. Cons of proof of work, right? Requires the use of increasing amounts of electricity. So we talked about that before, the energy consumption, and with this whole green movement, there's been a lot of talk around the energy that, like, Bitcoin blockchain is taking up. Generates a considerable amount of e-waste. Trying to see how to get my screen bigger right now. Give me a second. All right. So in proof of stake, pros and cons, right? Uh, Allows for faster transactions, has much smaller environmental impact, gives an economic incentive to approve valid blocks. Some cons: hasn't been fully proven at scale, can tend towards centralization. I guess they say that because it takes someone to stake their coin. So what if you had someone staking more than anyone else? Not saying they'll be totally central, but then you can kind of see how it goes from decentralized to only a certain amount of people who stake their coin having key decisions. So very interesting stuff. Hold on, let me see if I can do something real quick. Add this back. Give me a second. Interesting. Don't want to do that. Try to getting my just trying to get this thing situated again. So you guys can see it. I'm playing around with the viewing of the in picture. Let's see if the shift 7 works. Shift 7 again. Oh, interesting. All right, that's what I wanted. That's the view I wanted. All right, so that's that. So anyway, it's the transition is supposed to happen at in August. That's the new time. There were some questions on Instagram I was reading. Let me see if I can answer them. Someone asked about new guests. So actually, yeah, next week we're going to talk about security. We're going to have a CEO of my man Kennedy. He's going to be on. Let's start advertising that next week, and a week after that, we're going to be talking about some layer 1 and some layer 2 blockchains and getting into that with another guest. So yeah, it should be some interesting guests coming on in the next few weeks. Thanks for that question. Okay, I think that was one of the questions that we had. I can't post it out. That was a question on Instagram. But if you go to YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and I see a question, I can post it on the screen so it become part of the video. All right, let's move on. Actually, okay, the last article of the day, right? I'm going to go into some security stuff. Researchers spot supply chain attack targeting GitLab and CI pipelines. So yes, this one was interesting. Hold on, I'm getting another question. Can't do that with an Instagram question about jumping in. After the show, we can do that when we're just on Instagram, but we're doing the show right now, posting out on LinkedIn, and Instagram's not connected. But stay on, and then we can I'll have you jump on. So stay on until after this last episode, article, and I'll have you jump on. One of the viewers, my man Amir, is talking about jumping on. So post the regular show, we'll do that. So stay on and we'll do it. All right. So last article. So we're going to cover some security stuff. So supply chain attack. What is that? You have it's like anything, right? Like you think about food, if you think about any goods, it's a supply chain from getting it from the raw resources all the way into your house, into on your table or whatever. That's a whole supply chain, whether it's consumable goods like bags, whether it's food, whatever. There's a supply chain network. Same thing in software, right? For us to get the apps and things that you use, those different components are part of the supply chain. So in this particular case, you had malicious actors injecting malicious code into the open source repositories, trying to basically impact this particular. It's a code base called Rust, and let's kind of get into that from our notes. So security researchers at Sentinel Labs are calling attention to a software supply chain attack targeting Rust developers with malware aimed directly and infecting GitLab continuous integration pipelines. The campaign, dubbed Crate Depression, combines typo squatting and an impersonation of a known Rust developer to push a malicious crate hosted at the Rust dependency community repository. A crate is a compilation unit in Rust. So they're essentially posing as one of the known developers and inserting this. It's open source, so anybody can basically contribute, but they're contributing malicious code. It was swift. They said the malicious crate was swiftly flagged and removed, but Sentinel Lab researchers found a second stage payload exclusively built to GitLab CI pipelines, signaling a risk of further larger scale supply chain attacks. And supply chain attacks and software happen. I mean, you have something called software composition analysis, in which you start analyzing open source code. I mean, you look at the Equifax breach a few years ago. It was basically a supply chain. The open source code that they used just wasn't updated, and they were using a vulnerable one, and it ended up costing like over $1 billion in so to date. So let's get into what Rust. Rust is a statically typed programming language designed for performance and safety, especially safe concurrency and memory management. And syntax is similar to that of C++. It is an open source project developed originally at Mozilla Research. In 2021, the Rust Foundation has taken the torch and is driving development of the language. So it's a low-level programming language with direct access to hardware and memory. It makes it a great solution for embedded and bare metal development. You can use Rust to write operation systems or microcontroller applications. In fact, there were a number of operating systems written in Rust, like Redox, Intermezzos, Quilt OS, Rux, and Tuck. Mozilla, where the language is originally designed, uses it in its browser engines. So companies like Amazon use it in different spots like that. So it's definitely popular, especially when they're low level programming, trying to communicate with bare metal or embedded systems. That was actually that concludes the articles we wanted to discuss today. As always, I thank everyone for viewing in. I'm going to take it over to Instagram soon. I'm going to wait to see if anyone posts any questions, and then we'll go off for the weekend. So listen, every Friday, 12 p.m. ETD or EST, Eastern Standard Time. Check us out. The next 2 weeks, we have some really interesting guests, and we will start advertising for that. And what else? As always, thank you for viewing. I really appreciate you guys. This is our 76 shows. You guys have been rocking for a while now. And we're just being consistent here, talking about the stuff that we love, the technology behind FinTech, what's going on, bringing interesting guests, and so forth. So on that note, I will conclude the episode for today. To all, have a brilliant weekend. Take care of yourselves. Cheers.